What up, folks? We have a very important video today. Welcome to Alpha Trader here. We are talking today about something that has completely transformed the crypto landscape, and if you're not paying attention to this, you're already behind. It has to do with stocks, it has to do with the economy, it has to do with the United States government policy, it has to do with cryptocurrency, and I'm talking about Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve. I know this isn't some far-off policy proposal anymore. This is real, it's happening now, and it's already moving markets in ways we've never seen. So buckle up, because today we're breaking down exactly what this policy means, what we're already seeing in the markets today, which coins are getting boosted and which stocks are exploding, and most importantly, how you can position yourself as a trader. Let's get right into it. So the executive order, what actually happened? So let's start with the facts. On March 6th, earlier this year in 2025, President Trump signed an executive order establishing what he's calling the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve in the U.S. digital asset stockpile. So what does this actually mean? Well, here's the breakdown. The U.S. government currently holds approximately 200,000 Bitcoin, worth about $17.5 billion at current prices, with each Bitcoin around $88,000 to $90,000 per coin. This Bitcoin was seized from criminal cases, think Silk Road, dark web operations, fraud cases, and up until now, the government has just been selling it. In fact, according to the executive order itself, premature sales of seized Bitcoin have already cost U.S. taxpayers over $17 billion in lost value. Think about that, folks. $17 billion just gone because the U.S. was selling Bitcoin at $200, $500, and $1,000 when it's now worth $88,000 plus. So Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve says no more selling. We're holding it. We're treating Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset like gold, like oil, like strategic petroleum reserve that we already have. And yeah, so here's where it gets really interesting. The order also establishes a digital asset stockpile for other cryptocurrencies. So Trump explicitly mentioned that this stockpile would include Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and Cardano, not just Bitcoin. So folks, we're talking about a multi-crypto reserve that the US government is trying to buy and hold in a strategic reserve. So this is a first in United States history, folks. Now, David Sachs, Trump's new AI and crypto czar, and yes, that's a real position now, clarified that this won't cost taxpayers a dime. It's funded exclusively from seized crypto. But, and this is crucial, folks, the Treasury and Commerce Secretaries are authorized to develop budget-neutral strategies to acquire additional Bitcoin. Translation: the US government might actually start buying Bitcoin, very similar to the company of MicroStrategy, which we'll touch on later in the video. So folks, let me tell you why this is absolutely massive and game-changing. Well, first, we got institutional validation, this concept, when the US government, world's largest economy, says that Bitcoin is a strategic reserve asset like gold. That's not just symbolic. That's the US government officially declaring that Bitcoin has permanent value as a store of wealth. Every other country is now watching this. El Salvador already did this. They made Bitcoin legal tender. Now the United States is building a Bitcoin reserve. What do you think of China? What do you think of the EU, Japan, other major economies are thinking right now? Maybe they're thinking we need to do this too, or we'll get left behind. Second, regulatory clarity is coming fast. Trump promised to fire former President Biden's SEC chair, Gary Gensler, on day one, and he did. The new SEC chair is Paul Atkins, who is extremely crypto-friendly. So what does that mean? It means no more lawsuits against Coinbase, no more ambiguous, is this a security or not questions. We are starting to see actual clear regulations that let crypto operate in the United States without constant legal threats. This is huge, and this is the institutional money flood that we've been waiting for. So here are two stock plays. Now, if you're a stock trader, you need to know about these two plays because they're directly leveraged to Trump's crypto policies. We're going to talk about two. Number one is Coinbase. Coinbase stock absolutely exploded after Trump's election, up 74% immediately following his win. Why? Because Coinbase has been in a legal battle with the SEC for years. Former President Biden's Gary Gensler's SEC sued them, claiming that they were operating on unregistered securities exchange. Now, the SEC is dismissing the lawsuit. Paul Atkins is taking over, Coinbase is about to operate in a regulatory environment that is friendly instead of hostile. This is going to be very good for the stock. So Trump promised a crypto-friendly administration, working towards making the United States crypto forward, and this is delivering on that promise in real time. Very good for Coinbase. So they're calling Coinbase the Amazon of crypto financial services because it's not just an exchange, it's a custodian, a prime broker, a stablecoin issuer, a wallet provider, everything. Analysts have a price target of $310 for Coinbase. So here's what's even crazier. Coinbase spent over $70 million on political donations and lobbying in 2024. Their market cap has increased by over $47 billion since they started that political spending. That is a 67,000% return on investment. 67,000%. 67,000% is really, really good. And again, with Trump's policies, Coinbase is positioned to be the primary infrastructure provider for every bank, hedge fund, and institution that wants crypto exposure. So the setup here is regulatory clarity, institutional adoption, stablecoin legislation coming, looking very positive for Coinbase in the upcoming years and months. Okay, and number 2 is MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy, if you don't know this story, here it is in brief. Michael Saylor, the CEO, bet the entire company on Bitcoin in 2020. He started buying and he literally never stopped. Just this time last year, MicroStrategy held 446,000 Bitcoins. That was worth approximately $39 billion. They bought those Bitcoin at an average price of $62,000. They went up to $88,000. That's a roughly 30% jump, a significant rise in asset value. It's even more today. That means MicroStrategy is sitting on massive unrealized gains, and that is very, very good for the stock. But here's the play. MSTR stock has become a leveraged Bitcoin play. If you invest in MicroStrategy, that is a conduit to Bitcoin. So the stock was up, 442%. That's nearly 4 times Bitcoin's 117% gain. And why is this? Because MicroStrategy keeps raising money through stock offerings and debt, and then uses that money to buy more Bitcoin. So their stock's appreciation is almost 4 times that of Bitcoin. And Michael Saylor literally just said, we found a way to outperform Bitcoin. We just lever up Bitcoin. The company just got added to the NASDAQ 100 index. And that means that every index fund tracking the NASDAQ 100 now has to own MicroStrategy stock. That is billions of dollars in forced buying. So the setup here, continued Bitcoin accumulation, NASDAQ 100 inclusion, institutional buying. Now, there is risk here. MicroStrategy is highly leveraged. If Bitcoin crashes, MicroStrategy crashes harder. But if Bitcoin goes to $200,000, like some analysts predict, MicroStrategy could absolutely explode. Could be an absolutely fantastic play, could be a little bit risky. You can make that choice yourself. But, I think that MicroStrategy has a lot of potential. Okay, now, so the bull case versus the bear case. So folks, let me give you both sides because I'm not here just to pump crypto. I'm here to help you make informed trading decisions. The bull case, we have the first mover advantage. The US is establishing a Bitcoin reserve first. This puts pressure on every other major economy to follow suit. Sovereign demand for Bitcoin could drive prices to $200,000, $500,000, even BlackRock CEO Larry Fink's $700,000 target. And it's the end of a 4-year cycle. So Bitcoin has historically followed a boom-bust cycle every 4 years, but with institutional adoption, mainstream acceptance, and government reserves, some analysts think this cycle is over. We could see sustained growth like gold did in the 1970s. Bank integration as well is a factor. So for the first time ever, you have major US banks that offer crypto without regulatory harassment. That unlocks trillions of dollars in institutional capital that's been sitting on the sidelines. Folks, also legislation is coming. So stablecoin bills, market structure bills, crypto-specific regulations, all pro-crypto, all moving fast through a Republican-controlled Congress, and this is likely to continue. Oh, and by the way, when the Democrats start seeing the pro-crypto legislation, the younger generation of Democrats also will likely be pro-crypto. So that is just the trend of the nation. That is the trend of the US. That is the trend of everyone. We're in a new time these days, new generation, and a lot of people, including people that likely will get elected to leadership positions in the next coming years and decades, will be very pro crypto. So this is very good for crypto companies and cryptocurrencies. So folks, we got to talk about the bear case. There is a volatility risk. Bitcoin is still volatile. We saw 100,000, now we're at 88,000. That's a 12% drop in a matter of days. It could happen, things like this could happen. Traders are still taking profits, but they are taking profits, and we could see further consolidation or even a correction to even lower than what it is. We have macro headwinds as well. The Fed is signaling fewer rate cuts in 2026. So we just saw one in December. If rates stay high, risk assets like crypto typically struggle. Trump's tariffs threat, which could trigger economic uncertainty. All of this is a possible headwind for crypto. We also still have to talk, we do have some regulatory risk. Just because Trump is pro-crypto doesn't mean that every single policy will be perfect. State level regulations, tax policies, international coordination, these all could create complications, but it's also a learning process as we go. There just could be some bumpy rides, as we get there. We also have altcoin concerns. So many crypto investors are skeptical about the government stockpiling XRP, Solana, ADA. Some argue that this looks like government is picking winners rather than letting the market decide. All right, folks, so how do you trade this as a retail trader watching from home? Now, we are going to go into 3 types of strategies. Every individual investor is their own kind of investor, but there are 3 main strategies that are often put into groups. We're going to go into what to do for long-term investors, short-term investors, and risk-averse investors. Here's my framework. Let's get into it. So for long-term investors, you have to look at Bitcoin allocation. If you believe in the bull case, 5 to 10% portfolio allocation to Bitcoin makes sense. You can directly buy Bitcoin through Coinbase, Cash App, PayPal, or through a Bitcoin ETF like IBIT. That is BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF. There is also blue chip crypto stocks. That is COIN ticker and MSTR are the 2 main plays. Coin is less volatile and has diversified revenue. MSTR is a pure leveraged Bitcoin bet. Choose based on your risk tolerance. And then we also have altcoin exposure. If you want exposure to Ethereum, Solana, XRP, or ADA, do your research. These are more speculative than Bitcoin, but the government endorsement is a real catalyst. For short-term traders, volatility equals opportunity. Bitcoin is bouncing between certain ranges right now, 88,000, 104,000, somewhere in between. That is a 15% range. If you're a swing trader, look for dips. Watch the Fed. So interest rate decisions and Fed comments move crypto hard. Powell's next speech or the next Fed meeting could give you entries, especially as we head into 2026. You also have earnings catalysts. So Coinbase and MicroStrategy both report earnings. These are make or break events for the stocks. MicroStrategy's announcements about Bitcoin purchases move the stock 5 to 10% regularly. So you have to look out for these earnings. That could be a really major catalyst for the stock and something that you may want to look at as a short-term trader. You also have legislative catalysts, so you may want to look out for these as well. When the stablecoin bill passes, when Trump signs new crypto-friendly legislation, when Paul Atkins officially starts doing more things with the SEC, these are all potential run-ups, and again, the catalysts that really could affect these stocks. And so, especially for short-term traders, you're going to want to look at this. So now for risk-averse traders, people who are a little bit more risk-averse, you like the idea of Bitcoin, you maybe want to have some Bitcoin, but you're really skeptical, and you may want to have a little bit of a wiggle room there that's not necessarily in the short-term trader category. So the first is you have Bitcoin ETFs. You could buy IBIT, FBTC, or other Bitcoin ETFs in your retirement accounts. You get Bitcoin exposure without having to manage wallets or worry about security. You also have mining stocks. So Mara Holdings is one, Riot Platforms, and CleanSpark. These are all Bitcoin mining companies that benefit from higher Bitcoin prices, but are actual operating businesses. So these are companies that get highly affected by Bitcoin, but are not actually Bitcoin itself. Okay, folks, well, look, the bottom line is this. We are watching history unfold in real time. The United States government is building a Bitcoin reserve that sends would have been unthinkable 5 years ago. Trump's crypto policies are reshaping the entire landscape. Regulatory clarity is coming. Banks are integrating crypto. Institutions are buying. And Bitcoin is consolidating after hitting $100,000 for the first time ever. So whether you're bullish or bearish, short term, long term, the trend is clear. Crypto is going mainstream. The question is not if, but it's how fast, because it definitely is. So do your research, understand the risks. This is not financial advice, but don't ignore this opportunity. And folks, if you found this video helpful, smash that beautiful like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below. Are you buying Bitcoin and crypto stocks here, or are you waiting for a bigger pullback? I'll see you in the next video. Till then, folks, play the market. Don't let the market play you. Stay safe out there, traders.